Okay, so we're recording. So welcome everyone to our Sunday evening education call. Thank you all for turning up, showing up. Today I'm gonna share about the art of blending, which is something quite new to me, because doTERRA have such beautiful blends and mixes already made up. I haven't really taken the responsibility or investigated much about making my own blends, but I was inspired recently by a talk that Dr. Hill gave on the chemistry of essential oils and how you can really tailor and make these beautiful blends tailored to your specific needs according to the chemistry. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the science today and how we can create these beautiful blends, not just for ourselves, but also as beautiful gifts for friends and people in need. I had a recent request from a friend of mine who's going to visit her friend who's just been diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer. And she wanted some blends and some oils that were going to help her recover after chemotherapy. So it's also sparked this kind of interest for me as well to kind of, really just get to grips with the chemistry behind the oils and be able to create these beautiful tailored little sets for people as gifts and just as, helpful supports, like plant medicinal supports through challenging times. So I'm going to share my screen with you and just share this presentation that I've prepared. Hi, Kate. So please feel free, you are all muted at the moment, but obviously please feel free to unmute yourself whenever you have a question. As I say, I'm not an expert at this, I'm just learning about this myself, but that's the beauty of our work with essential oils, that we the teaching is accessible to everyone and we shouldn't be afraid to experiment and to try things out. So, the art of blending. So let me just see if I can rearrange this screen a little bit so you can see my text here. Okay, so one of the things that's important is understanding the order. Okay, so blending essential oils is an art and usually requires a little bit of training and experimentation. And it's important to understand the order in which we make the blend. So for example, when you make a little roller ball like this, you may have 7 oils or 5 oils that you're going to put in, but the order that you put them into that bottle will change the chemistry. So I saw a really interesting video of one of the science experts in doTERRA, and he was making a blend. I think it had, I can't remember the exact ingredients, but lavender was definitely in there. And he put some lavender in at first, then he put 2 or 3 other oils on top, and then he put lavender in again, another 2 or 3 drops. And it was changing the kind of tones and the chemistry according to the order of the way that you added the oil. So that was really interesting to me, and I think that there's a lot to be learned about that. As it says here, an alteration in the sequence of adding selected oils may change the chemical properties, the fragrance, and thus, therefore, the desired results. So it's kind of, a little bit of a game, a little bit of, understanding how these building blocks are built up to create a fragrance. But it's also a nice, it's a nice kind of playful experience. So, okay, so top tips. So in general, oils that are from the same botanical family usually blend well together. So when we say the same botanical family, we mean we could be talking about the mints. So you could talk about clary sage, obviously you've got mint, spearmint, rosemary, oregano, they're all from the mint family. And then you've got the citruses as another botanical family. So the citrus is a bit more obvious. So that's one way of potentially playing with blends and making up blends. Usually lavender will blend really well with other mints because it's all in the same family. And then in addition, oils with similar constituents also mix well. So what does that mean? So similar constituents basically means a similar chemical makeup. So terpenes, such as monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. So you've got terpenes as the kind of backbone, the kind of basic chemistry. And then from that, you get monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. And so those in the terpene family are going to blend well together because they've got a similar chemical makeup. Or you've got oxygenated compounds, which are, they have kind of added chemistry to them. So esters, alcohols, phenols, and ketones or ketones. So that, all this information, by the way, I am bringing to you literally from Modern Essentials. If any of you don't have this book and you are interested in learning more about essential oils, this is the Bible. So all of the information I'm sharing with you is just taken out extracts from this book. They have a lovely page on making blends. And so this is nothing difficult to come by, this information, okay? So this is one of the, this is a really incredible wheel, a kind of, I suppose, chemical wheel of what all the different, the chemical backbone to all the different essential oils. So you can see here in the center, you've got monoterpene as the backbone. And then the first circle around that, you've got all the different expressions or different types of monoterpenes, okay? So I don't know if you can see here down to the right, if you can see my arrow, you've got the monoterpene backbone, and then you've got monoterpenes. So they're very pure forms of monoterpenes going towards the yellow section here. So that means that they're going to have a very directive, very kind of targeted effect, okay? Because it's all the same chemistry. Okay, monoterpene backbone, monoterpenes, you've got the firs, Douglas fir, white fir, and then you've got pretty much all the citruses in that yellow section there. So that's going to be very, very kind of effective and to create a very targeted effect, okay? As soon as you start to move into more combinations, so monoterpene backbone with alcohols, so alcohols is over here in the green section, it has a toning effect. And you've got basil and rose and geranium. So that's becoming a kind of more complex chemical structure. And so it's going to have different effects. There's going to be secondary and tertiary side effects associated with those oils. So it's more, it will have, in that sense, it will have, I suppose, a broader spectrum of benefits in our body. Okay, so just to give you a very basic idea, very basic chemical idea of the chemistry behind the oils and how we can start to think about blending them. So as you can see here, toning, in the toning section, we've got geranium, we've got rose, we've got coriander, you've got cilantro and basil, and they're going to be very toning for the skin. So what's interesting is that when you're making blends for people, or when you're recommending, as educators, when we're recommending oils for people, we have a whole range here of oils that are toning for the skin. So let's say someone's got a skin issue and you recommend basil, and let's say that basil isn't doing much for them. We've got a whole other range of oils here that you could pick and choose from. And that's the kind of beauty of essential oils, is that we do need to give them some time, and we need to, experiment a little bit with all the possibilities. So when you're making, let's say you want to make a blend for the skin, so alcohols are very, very cleansing for the skin. And so you could make a blend now, let's say, of coriander, rose, geranium, using those oils, let's say, in a blend. And then you could also include, you see over here in the blue section, the energizing section, alcohol also, this section also moves into the mint, peppermint. And peppermint is also going to be energizing and very zingy for the skin. It's going to wake our skin up. So you could think about combining, there are all these alcohols here, and I'm going to combine one from the mint family, then I'm going to combine melaleuca, which is tea tree, and geranium for a bit of a kind of softer, more feminine feel. So this wheel is a very useful thing to get to grips with as essential oil educators, but also just as users and making blends for people. And I'm really just touching very briefly on the chemistry because I'm not an expert, but we're going to go into it a little bit more later, and I hope that it will become a little bit clearer. There's another wheel that I want to show you as well, and this is the sesquiterpene wheel. So sesquiterpenes, chemically, they are a little larger, so the chemistry is a little more complicated, a little more complex, and that's a good thing. Sesquiterpenes are metabolized slightly, it takes slightly longer to metabolize sesquiterpenes, so it means that they're in the body for longer, so they can have more effects. There's time for us to receive more of their benefits. And you've got here alcohols, ketones, sesquiterpenes, and ethers. So again here, the sesquiterpenes, we have a very pure form of sesquiterpenes, which is the ginger, the black pepper, and the ylang-ylang. And then you've got more complex chemistry, sesquiterpenes with ether, or an ether, I think it's called ether, with myrrh, or sesquiterpene, and alcohols. You've got the cedarwood, you've got the sandalwood. And we know sandalwood is very, very good for the skin. We know cedarwood is very, very good for the skin. You know, they're going to be cleansing, nourishing for the skin. So just to give you a very, very brief overview before we go on. So another method of when we're making perfumes or blends for people is looking at these 4 classifications. So you've got personifiers, you've got enhancers, equalizers, and modifiers, okay? And this is that they're called those things because they have certain characteristics, each of those groups. So we're going to talk about those characteristics. So the personifier should be around 1 to 5% of the blend, okay? These oils have a very sharp, strong, and long-lasting fragrance, and they also have dominant properties with strong therapeutic action. So examples of personifiers are birch, cinnamon, clary sage, clove, coriander, ginger, helichrysum, orange, peppermint, rose, wintergreen, and ylang-ylang. Okay, and you'll find that there are some crossovers. Okay, so this is the personifier, and it's 1 to 5% of our blend. Then we move on to the enhancer. Now the enhancer is going to take up the majority of the blend that we're making. So this is the predominant oil, okay? So this is 50 to 80%. And it serves to enhance the properties of all the other oils in the blend. So it's synergistic. It's going to enhance everything else that's going on there. The fragrance is not as sharp as the personifier, and it's usually has a shorter duration. So when you put it on your skin, maybe the smell isn't so overt and it doesn't last for so long, okay? And out of all of these listed here, frankincense is basically the ultimate enhancer. So frankincense is gonna be synergistic with practically every oil that you put it with. It's gonna enhance the properties and the benefits of that oil, okay? So you've got basil, you've got bergamot, birch, eucalyptus, you know, the list goes on. And these is obviously not a complete list. These are just some examples there. So depending on the kind of blend you're making, let's say you're making a minty blend, you could think about combining some more of the mints, but lavender in the mint family, the lavender may make up the majority of that blend because that's going to enhance all the others, right? Or let's say you're making a citrus blend and you know that grapefruit is an enhancer, so that's going to make up, or bergamot as well, they're going to make up the majority of that citrus blend that you're making for someone because they're the enhancers, okay? Does that make sense up until here? I hope so. So then we move on to the equalizer, and an equalizer is going to create balance. Okay, it's going to create maybe a little more depth and balance. I can see there's a typo here. So these oils create balance and synergy among the oils, and their fragrance is not as sharp as the personifiers. And I think that's supposed to say it's of a shorter duration, or it has a shorter duration. So you've got cypress, fennel, white fir, frankincense, geranium, guinea, which is supposed to be ginger, lemongrass, lavender, sandalwood, and myrrh. A new oil called guinea. So that's the equalizer. Okay, and then you've got the modifier. And the modifier will add harmony to the blend. So these oils have a mild fragrance, milder and shorter again, so it's for a shorter period of time. Bergamot, coriander, fennel, eucalyptus, lemon, myrrh, sandalwood, and ylang ylang. So these are just very, very kind of simple guidelines for you to work with when you're making a blend. And also something important is to think about is the carrier oil that you're going to use. So there are some blends, like for example this one, which is the Clary Calm. This doesn't have a carrier oil. So this is just pure essential oil, okay? It will have, like, it has some it has some carrot seed oil and some palmarosa oil, but it's not got these kind of thick vegetable oils like, you know, or nut oils like almond or jojoba. It hasn't got coconut oil in it. So depending on where you're going to be putting the oils, you want to be thinking about what kind of carrier oil you're going to use. So if it's going to be for the face, you probably will want to use a carrier oil just to dilute the oils that are going onto your skin in case of sensitivity. But also the great thing about carrier oils is that they hold the essential oils in your skin. So when we just put an essential oil straight onto the skin, there's evaporation occurs. So if there's no carrier oil, if there's no thick kind of coconut oil or thicker vegetable oil holding the molecules there in the layers of your skin, then we may lose some of that pure oil, essential oil, to evaporation. So if you just put Melaleuca on your skin, a percentage of that will be lost to evaporation. Whereas if you put tea tree oil on your skin with a carrier oil, that carrier oil is going to hold it in the superficial layers of your skin. Okay, and it's going to hold it there for longer so it can do more work and create more healing. So here, when we're thinking about carrier oils, you can start with a mixture of 28 drops of essential oil to half an ounce of carrier oil. Okay, and I have some like equivalent here. 1 ounce of oil is 30 milliliters. Okay, so if you work in milliliters, it will be 15 milliliters, 28 drops to 15 milliliters of carrier oil. And then you can take it from there and adjust as necessary. Okay, for massage purposes, obviously, if you're massaging the whole body and you're creating blends for your clients, specific blends, then you're not going to be like dousing loads of expensive oil all over them. So you're going to be using about 50 drops in 4 ounces. So that would be 50 drops in 120 mils, okay, of carrier oil. And then obviously remember to store your creations in dark colored glass bottles, always glass and always dark colored to protect your oils from sunlight. And then another thing that we can think about are the notes. So it's lovely. I love the way they talk about creating these blends because it's like a melody. It's like a kind of orchestra of scents that we are creating when we make a perfume or a blend for someone. And you have your top notes, the ones that shine out, and you have your middle notes, and then you have your base notes that kind of carry the whole thing along. So the top notes are characterized by the fastest evaporation oils and the most immediately noticeable scents. So they diffuse quickly, they tend to be light, crisp, and penetrating. Okay, so I'm sure if you think about what they might be, you could come up with things quite easily. You know, oils that are light, crisp, penetrating, noticeable scents, sharp to the nose. The middle notes are called heart notes, and they make up the main body of the blend, and they soften and round out the fragrance to harmonize. And then the base notes are often not recognized until several minutes after application. So they could be things like myrrh, for example, which is more earthy. It's maybe gonna stay around for longer and give depth to the blend, but you might not notice it immediately when you smell that blend that you've made. Okay? If you can hear drumming outside, I'm sorry about that. There seemed to be a kind of like band walking past my street. So this is just a chart. I'm sorry I couldn't find a better image here, but this is a chart from a book called Natural Perfumes by Mindy Green. So if you're really interested in creating blends for your family, for certain specific needs, you know, what's really nice is that if somebody has, you know, a very specific skin problem or a very specific, I don't know, stress-related condition, you can put all of those oils that they need in one blended roller bottle and just give it to them, just that one. So they're not dealing with lots of different single oils. They've just got that one blend that they're using every day on their skin or on the back of their neck or wherever it might be. You know, sometimes we have to introduce oils like this to people because there may be some resistance, or there may be a kind of laziness around using them, or just, you know, it's not being fully integrated yet in their lives. And so if we just give them one blend that we've like specially tailored for them, that can be a lovely gift, very touching to receive, very thoughtful, but also just very easy for them to use. So Natural Perfumes is a book by Mindy Green, and this is a chart taken from her book, and it shows you here a little bit about the top notes, top to middle notes, and base notes. And so you've got already a kind of guideline about how you can create a lovely perfume, but then also you can go back and look at the chemistry behind these oils. So let's say, you know, let's say you're creating a blend. We'll start at the top here. Let's say we use bergamot as the top note. We're going to use cypress as a middle note, and we're going to use sandalwood, for example, as a base note. So you've already got your 3 notes to blend the perfume, and then you can look at the chemistry behind that and see if it's appropriate, you know, see if it's what you're looking for. Or you go the other way around. You start with the chemistry, and then you find out, okay, well, I want to use myrrh, but it's a base note, so I'm not going to use too much of it. I want to use ginger for this person, and I can see here that it's the middle note, so maybe that's going to make up more of the blend, okay? And then I'm going to use orange, for example, or orange is appropriate for this person's needs. It's a top note according to this chart, so I'll just use 5 to 20% of it in the blend. Okay, so you can see here at the top, right at the top of each section, it says the percentage of the oil, the amount of oil you should use in the blend. Okay, so you can use this chart. I'll post this on our page, and I'll post the information that I found on Facebook. So you can, if any of you are interested in making blends, you can start to experiment. And what I thought would be interesting for us to do is just to analyze one of the doTERRA blends to sort of see how this works, to see the intelligence behind how they are blending their mixes. And this is one of my favorites. This is called the Forgive blend, and it's a blend of herbs and trees. And I'm going to actually read to you from the Emotions book, okay, which is another beautiful book if you're looking for to treat yourself and support yourself emotionally with oils. The Emotions and Essential Oil book is a great one to use. It's not by doTERRA, it's by a kind of sister company, so it has all of their blends in there. So I'm going to read to you about Forgive. So this blend of herb and tree oils was formulated to assist individuals who desire to forgive. It is well understood that forgiving others actually sets us free. This blend is especially helpful when individuals feel cynical or begin to expect the worst from other people. Instead of looking for the good in others, they may view others in a negative light. And they may also have a tendency to feel justified in blaming others for their own personal situations or misfortunes. Renewing blend challenges individuals to let go of bitterness and hostilities and to embrace other people as an extension of themselves, as part of the human family. It reminds us to live by that golden rule, to treat others as we would like to be treated ourselves. It invites us to free ourselves by realizing that others are just doing the best they can and deserve our compassion and forgiveness. And so doTERRA, to create this blend, they've chosen to use a lot of trees. So we've got the spruce, the juniper berry tree, we've got myrrh, arbor vitae, Nootka is also a tree. And then you've got some of the herbs. So you've got thyme there, and you've got a citrus as well, bergamot. And so what we've got here is quite an interesting kind of chemical makeup. You've got the pure monoterpenes, the juniper berry, the spruce, and the bergamot. So they're going to be very directed, have a very kind of targeted effect. And they're mainly middle and top notes in the blend. Then you've got the, this is an ester without the H, I think, the arbor vitae, which is a tree, and this is kind of top to middle as well. The citronella, I couldn't, doTERRA don't have a single blend with citronella, so I couldn't find enough information about its chemical makeup to let you know, but we'll just continue just to give you an overview. The thyme is a phenol, and that's going to be a middle note, and then you've got the sesquiterpenes at the bottom, the base notes, the Nootka and the myrrh. And so we've already spoken about sesquiterpenes and how they take longer for the body to metabolize, so they're in the body for longer and they can have more chance to do the work that they need to do. And those are the base notes in the blend. So if you look, if we go back to, sorry, I'm just going to see, yeah. So if we go back to studying the chemicals, monoterpenes are the smallest in the chemical family. They're the smallest of the terpenes, and they are fast acting. They're metabolized quickly, and they're highly volatile. So that means that we can use them repeatedly because they're very quickly metabolized. Okay, so that's why they're in this blend. There's quite a few of them, and they're the kind of higher notes. They're going to be more noticeable. Okay. Then let's see. Then we've got the sesquiterpenes. They demonstrate a higher metabolic potential, so they're longer lasting in the body. They're more complex. There's more chemistry available, like we've spoken about. The alcohols, we've already said, they're very cleansing. They relax and soothe the tissues of the body, and they're uplifting to the mood. Okay. Then you've got the phenols. So all of this chemistry is in this Forgive blend. So they're antioxidants, they protect our cells, they support our immunity, and they bring relief and warming sensations. And so this is interesting when you consider that this is called Forgive. You know, when there is a lack of forgiveness in our psyche, in our kind of mental and emotional bodies, there's a tension there. There's a tension, there's resentment, there's a kind of hardness. And so what these oils bring is a relief and warming sensations coming back to the heart space, just bringing that kind of fuzzy feeling back of letting go, of releasing tension and feeling that kind of internal warmth. And thyme is one of those, and thyme brings that warmth internally. And then the esters, and they're going to be relaxing to our tissues and calming to the emotions. So they're going to calm that emotional tension that we have when there's resentment, when there's criticism and judgment and all the things that are associated with a lack of forgiveness. The esters are basically associated with all things relaxing and soothing to the body. So as we know, we've spoken about before, we store emotion in the body. We store emotion in our joints and our muscles. There's tension. Shoulders, for example, are associated emotionally with anger, frustration. So when the esters are coming in, when that's coming into the body, that's going to be relaxing and soothing to the tissues. Letting go, just physically letting go, can have a huge effect on our emotional and a mental body. And esters are going to be really useful for women, especially during our cycle. We can apply them topically. They're going to be have a very targeted effect, and relieve that kind of cramping or, discomfort through the menstrual cycle. So chemically, if we're making a blend for women, for our female friends that suffer with their menstrual cycle, you could think about looking more towards the esters in terms of making a blend, and looking at the chemistry behind it. Are there any questions at this point? Okay. So I just thought we'd come back to the wheel to finish, just to have a look. Hang on, let me just see if I can stop this share a moment. And 1 second. Yeah, so I just wanted to be able to come in and out of the presentation a moment. So if we remember what's in Forgive, okay, in the brown section here, you've got Arbor Vitae, okay, so that's in the Forgive blend, and Arbor Vitae is an ester, right? Then if we go down and we keep looking, we've got the Juniper Berry, which is also in this brown section. It's a monoterpene, and it's a very pure monoterpene, okay? So that's going to have a very direct effect. And then we keep going down and we're going to look for bergamot, because bergamot is also in this blend, and that's also a pure monoterpene, or one of the more pure ones. Uplifting, so we've already got these renewing, uplifting feelings that come from the Forgive blend. And then if we keep going round and looking for the other ingredients, let me see what else was there. Thyme, we've got the warming effect, and thyme has got a bit more of a kind of complex chemical makeup, so it's going to stay in the body for a bit longer. It's going to be not metabolized so quickly. It's going to have more secondary and tertiary side effects and benefits, because it's got more chemistry to it. It's a more complex chemical makeup. So little by little, by using this wheel, we can start to understand the blends that doTERRA have already made for us and the intelligence behind them, but also we can use it to create our own blends and use it as a kind of, rough guide. But really, I would just encourage you to have fun with, if you're, wanting to share these oils, and if you're excited about their benefits and what you're experiencing. And, it's a beautiful gift to give someone a little roller ball that's been specially, tailored for them. And I would, just really encourage you to look at the chemistry a little bit, look at the notes, the percentages of what each oil should be in the blend, and just start playing with it. So yeah, that's the end of that particular part of the call. Are there any questions, any comments, does anyone have an experience of blending that they'd like to share? All right then. Well, we're going to move on to the second part of the call. And so this is where those of us that are educating about the oils, I'm actually going to unmute you all. Those of us that are educating about the oils, this is where we start to share about, different parts of our work with doTERRA and different parts of the different challenges we're experiencing. And so I thought I would open this up so that we could just talk about what we've been experiencing, any challenges that have been coming up. Next week, Avesa is going to be on the call talking to us about the convention that she just attended in the USA. And she's going to be giving us loads and loads of updates about the next phase with doTERRA, which is incredible. They're basically disrupting the whole medical pharmaceutical industry with these oils, and investing a lot of time and energy and money now into the research that needs to be globally available now for essential oils to be recognized globally. So that's the next phase that doTERRA are investing in. But she's going to talk more about that. And really, I just wanted to open this up to us, those of us who are teaching and educating, to check in with each other and to share any experiences you might be having, or also just let us know what your plan is for the next few months, what your goals, whether you're teaching at the moment, how that's going, how your classes are going, if you feel like there's any challenges coming up. So I'm handing it over to you guys.
I'm happy to start if you want me to.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, go ahead.
I've been kind of doing classes, like monthly classes,
Mm-hmm.
and had kind of mixed. I've been sort of like really pushing myself so that I don't just do the introduction to, because I don't like playing safe and doing the same thing. I like to kind of challenge myself so that my learning grows. So this month we've done how to balance your hormones with essential oils, and I really learned a lot. And I find that once I've done, Paul, go away a minute. Sorry, my boyfriend's being silly. Once I've done some of these, like when we did the hormones meeting, I did it with Ginny, who's a reflexologist, and there was some stuff that we kind of learned that it was kind of a bit sort of different. Like we learned some stuff about xenoestrogens. I don't know if you guys know about xenoestrogens and how the body, basically they're in plastic, they're in both toxins like fuels, in pesticides, and it's really interesting the way the body takes them in. The body sees them as estrogens, and then essential oils actually cleanse the cell. So we watched some really interesting sort of mad little YouTube films. So it was interesting to push ourselves so that we had to talk about the science in our meetings. And then after I went back to doing another introduction to, I had more to talk about. It sort of brought the science in a little bit more. So I'm kind of enjoying sort of challenging myself a little bit by doing different weekly, monthly meetings. Where I feel that I need to get a bit more focused is really on one-to-ones, on sampling, and that area of my business, which I'm hoping that by going to Portugal, I'll pick up some sort of new tips, because I feel like I've been doing these workshops, and I think sometimes people in Ibiza actually think that I'm just an educator. I don't sell oils.
Right.
And they actually look forward to the meetings, but they're not actually signing up. So I've had a few of these kind of like feeling a bit frustrated. But then this week on my retreat, I think a few people are going to sign up because I presented again. So it's that kind of, I'm just looking, I just feel like I need to absorb new ways of connecting. Maybe one-to-one needs to be a new strategy for me, because the workshops are great and I'm getting a lot more confidence, but I don't know about the success of sign-ups. It's kind of like I'm getting word out there, but I don't know. So that's kind of like my frustration, and I guess that's going to be kind of my plan, is maybe to focus a little bit more one-to-one. Sort of moving into the winter where people are a bit more available in Ibiza. It's very difficult in the summer to do that, but in the winter I kind of want to connect a little bit more on that level.
I think it's really normal what you're experiencing, because the passion, I think, for all of us as educators comes from the oils and from learning about them and educating about them. But the main thing that we also, like another thing that we need to become skilled at as educators, is to let people know where to get them from, where to get really, really good quality, high quality, pure therapeutic grade oils. And I think there's a lot of difficulty for us around that, because we don't like the feeling of selling. We don't want to feel like we're selling. But the fact is that these oils are so incredible that it's important that people have them. It's important that they have them in their homes. It's important that they learn how to use them. So it's not just the education that's important. It's important that they actually have these oils too. And so there's just ways for us to become more skilled, I think, at not just the education part and teaching, but letting people know openly and transparently, look, I am aligning myself with this company because of A, B, C, D, because I totally believe in their product. I totally believe in their mission and their integrity. And I encourage you to try these ones. And I think there's no, I am so proud to be aligning myself with doTERRA. And even though it's taken me some time to kind of get over the feeling of, that discomfort around people thinking, oh, you know, maybe she's, you know, the selling side of things. But in the same way as I'd have no issue talking about my yoga classes, or, you know, come to my yoga classes. I'd love you to come, you know, it's how I earn a living, but it's also that I'm passionate about what I do and what I teach and the information I have to share. And it's finding that same, I think, that same skill in terms of talking about the oils that we need to overcome, and letting people know how they can get them. So I think it's, you know, it's totally normal that you're struggling with that aspect of, you know, helping people set up a wholesale account or helping them get the oils at the best prices. But you just have to remember how beneficial these oils are going to be for them and how life-changing they are going to be, you know.
But you know what, Tara, it's not that for me. It's basically they are so keen often in the meetings. Like this week in my workshop, the girls were like crying.
Yeah.
They loved it that much when I spoke about hope. You know, I'm hitting all the right like notes there. You know, I worked in sales for like 20 years. It's not that. And they leave and they're like, oh my God, I love them. Where can I get them? And then like they go away and I send them everything, like, and I even break down like each oil now, and then they sort of go away, and then there's a little bit of a kind of, you know, and it's that sometimes I kind of think you have to just let the magic happen, and it's those seeds that I kind of sometimes find a bit frustrating. You're like, God, come on.
Yeah. Well, have you not tried helping people make their wish list during a class? So
yeah.
while you're doing the class and you're talking about the oils, you can say to them, write down the ones that resonate with you. Yeah. And then at the end, I'm going to help you make your order. And you just say to them there and then, like, I can help you today, and you can have these oils within 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah, I say that, and they, and then they sort of like, one girl this week was like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And she went, you know what? I'm going to go home and I'm going to do it online, which is also fine. I don't want to be pushing. I'm like, that's totally cool. Like, I'm here for you. I can help you through it. It's not that I feel like I'm doing everything in the right way. And I'm not shying away from, you know, I'm not shying away from how they get the oils and all of that. I'm responding quickly. I just think it's the nature of the business. It's like a flow. It's like anything. Sometimes it's just flowing, and then sometimes it can kind of you go through a stage where it can feel a little bit drier. And then it can flow again. I guess the art is just to keep going with different strands, not just rely on the workshops, do other stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, I think obviously it's like it's something that's coming up for you, and there's seems to be repeating, you know, like a repetitive thing that's coming up. So maybe it's just gonna take a little bit of reflection and meditation for you to try something new, because oftentimes when a challenge, you know, returns in our life again and again, it's like if we keep doing the same thing, we keep having the same response to it, but nothing changes. It's about maybe changing your approach. Or I have that with computers. It's like if something doesn't work on my computer, or like, you know, I can't get out of something, I just keep pressing escape again and again and again. I just keep doing the same thing. And one of my friends who's more like computer literate than me, she's like, why don't you try doing something else? I just keep doing the same, like trying the same path. And it's, you know, it's obvious when you think about it. But that all, I think, with a little bit of time and just reflecting on the words that you're using, or the, you know, how you're following up, you know, I also think it's helpful for people, because one of the struggles that I find is that, you know, when people have got their oils and I say to them, let's do a consultation, I want to do a consultation with you so you really know how to use the oils properly, and they never call me back, and they never get in touch, and they've got these oils and they don't necessarily know how to use all of them. And it's because of time, I know, and people get busy with other things. But I think one of the things that I'm trying now is just saying to them, I'm going to call you in 3 days, you know, once you've got your oils, and I'm going to call you, and I'll just tell them, I'll just say, I'm going to call you on Thursday evening at 9 o'clock, whatever it is. And then if they're there, they're there. And if they're not, they're not. And I leave a message. But it's just one way of like overcoming that kind of, you know, that block of sort of they want to be helped, you want to help them, but there's people get lost in, you know, in life and all the other things that happen. And I think sometimes there's just another approach that we can look for, or another way that we can just really make sure that they're getting what they need and that the education is there. But thank you for sharing, because it's, you know, it is frustrating when you feel that, you know, you're giving so much and people are really enthused by them, and then there's all these sort of promises and and nothing's sort of moving. But it's all just planting seeds, you know, and this is still very new for people. Essential oils are still very new for a lot of people. They're still understanding, you know, oh my God, I can take this internally, you know. There's still a lot of new information that people are coming to grips with. And I think that just little by little, if we're just that rock in our community and we are that lamp and that light just constantly there, then, you know, we'll attract our community. Did you have anything else you wanted to share? Or Barbara, did you have anything you wanted to share? Well, I think we've got a few more minutes. If anyone else has any questions, I don't, Rachel, if you had any questions about what we shared before.
Well, I mean, it's just been really, really useful and helpful for me to listen through. Actually, I find it more and more interesting every time, but I'm aware that there's an awful lot to learn. And I'm happy to sort of to go slowly, really, because as you say, it's very much about feeling your way through. It's interesting as well, obviously, to hear other people who are more involved talk about it, like Kate just has been. So that's been very interesting and useful as well. I mean, my questions are still the sort of basic user questions, really.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just, you know, with you mentioning the taking of oils internally just then, and I've got the books on order, but they're waiting for the new editions to print, so they won't be with me for a little while. So with regards to mixing and diluting or taking internally, etc., I haven't really been able to learn anything properly yet. But so I've just been experimenting, and I'm probably not using things all that well, too little or too much, that sort of thing. But you know, like you say, it's all a learning process. But with taking something internally, is there a standard advice for taking drops on the tongue? I mean, I appreciate that would be different for specific and individual requirements, or even for the different oils, as you've just been explaining, with different chemical makeup, etc. But for instance, I've got bergamot, and I've taken that internally a couple of times, and obviously it's really strong. So I've just taken a drop on the tongue. Is that the right way for me to do it?
Yeah. So can you tell me what all the oils you've got, or are there quite a lot, or have you just got a handful?
I've just got a handful at the moment. I've got my doTERRA ones. I've got a little bit of wild orange. I've got the bergamot. I've got lemon, and I've just ordered an On Guard.
Yeah.
The blend, and also I'm trying to get a tangerine oil, which is apparently not available in the UK. So I think someone is going to help me out by sending tangerine from the States. But those are the ones that I have at the moment. Those are the ones that I would be using.
So that's great, because all of them are for use for internal use as well. So you've got you don't need to remember anything about which ones aren't for internal. All the citruses you can use internally, and On Guard you can use internally.
Right.
And what I would do, I mean, you absolutely can put them on the tongue, but I would say it's probably the strongest way to take it is putting it a drop on the tongue, because we've got all our taste buds there. So it's going to immediately have a very, very kind of strong, sharp effect. And I would say you could actually just put a drop in your juice.
Yeah.
A drop of lemon in your juice in the morning, or I use a canteen like this, and I sit.
Yeah.
I put maybe up to sort of 4 or 5 drops in this.
Right.
It's about I don't know how many milliliters this is. It's like a bottle of water, you know, like just a single serve bottle of water.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is probably maybe three cups of water, let's say. And I put maybe 4 or 5 drops of that, and I sip on it all day long. And the great thing about all the citrus oils is they're going to be very, very cleansing internally. So they're going to be helping your liver detox, your kidneys. They're going to be supporting your intestines. So they're going to be really, really good for the digestive system, and emotionally they're going to be very uplifting.
Right.
So and they're nice to blend as well. Sometimes I'll blend like wild orange and grapefruit. I'll put because grapefruit's really good for the metabolism as well, so I'll put like a few drops, and I'm quite generous with mine because, as Tara said, I have it for the whole day, so I have to limit my peppermint because I think I'm slightly addicted to peppermint. I need black pepper to get over my peppermint addiction. When I started, I used to have 1 drop, and now people taste my water and they're like, "Oh my god, how much peppermint?" I'm like, "Oh, I went a bit crazy today." So yeah, go easy with your peppermint.
Yeah, it's a good point, Kate. You can make really nice citrus blends. So you've got bergamot and wild orange and lemon, and you could put a drop of each of those in the water or in your canteen, and they're all going to have slightly different you know, kind of effects, slightly different, and you're going to resonate maybe more with one oil than another, you know, on the different days. So I would just go with how you feel. Our nose, our sense of smell is very intuitive. So you can literally just get up in the morning and just smell which one appeals to you most.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Tara, something that you say in our meetings as well that I find useful to pass on to people who are new to the oils as well is a lot of people in my meetings ask about like overload of taking too much oil. And I think it's interesting because you share this. It's about 11 drops on average is about how many drops of oil. I think you say about 11 or 12 drops unless you're treating a specific condition, don't you? Is that about 11, 12 drops in a day, really?
Per day, yeah. They say... So Dr. Hill says 20 drops in a 24-hour period. So if we kind of break that down, that we're up, you know, we're kind of up and eating and active for between 12 and 16 hours, you know, of that day, then you're kind of looking at half of that, maybe 12 up to 16 drops, you know, throughout the whole day. So it depends, you know, for kiddies, it's not necessary for children to take oils internally under the age of 6, really, because their bodies are so small. You can put a drop of oil on the sole of their feet and that's going to have a huge effect on them. They don't need to take it internally in the same way that, you know, it's more beneficial for us. But so, yeah, there are guidelines, you know, when you can take them in capsules as well, like small empty vegetable capsules. You can take like 3 or 4 drops, for example, in a capsule if you want to target the digestive system and the intestines. Or if you just want to have like a long-lasting detoxification effect, then you would just sip on, you know, your water all day. But as Kate mentioned, when you're ill, our metabolic capacity is slightly lower. So what's interesting is that often when we're ill, that's actually, it's an interesting kind of psychology that we have, because that's when we ply our body with echinacea and, you know, all these things. But actually our metabolic rate is lower. It's been compromised because we're ill. So actually in those circumstances, we don't want to be overdoing the oils. We actually want to be like less is more in general. But with consistency. So the oils, the great thing about the oils is they're metabolized very, very quickly. So you can use them repeatedly throughout the day. But when you're ill, you just want to be maybe adjusting your dosage, not taking too much at any one time, but using less, but more often.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Yes.
So, the On Guard you're going to love. That's going to be so super supportive. It's going to be warming to the body. It's really an amazing disinfectant and cleanser internally. I actually have just put it in a spray bottle and I'm using it on my surfaces at the moment.
Right.
Just spraying on the surfaces, on like door handles, because where we live, it's also a public space. Like I have my yoga students come here. So just things like, on the bathroom door, just spraying the On Guard on there, letting it air dry, just so that there's like a really clean and kind of germ-free and I suppose, just protecting kind of environment. So so there's lots of things, lots of ways to play with the oils. What I would say with the citruses, you need to be careful of using them on your skin because they're photosensitive.
Yes.
And the On Guard, you also want to be very careful with using on your skin because it's got hot oils in there. It's got thyme and no, it hasn't got thyme actually. It's got cinnamon and clove. And some oils that are going to be potentially like irritating to the skin. So, so use it internally. You can use it on the soles of your feet. I mean, I know people that do put it directly on their skin, on their glands, for example, when they're feeling a bit run down. I know people that do that, but if I did that, I would just get red and rashy. So it just depends on your, on your sensitivity.
Yeah. Okay.
I think when you diffuse as well, the citruses and the On Guard, I don't know if you find this, Tara, but they seem a bit harsh on the diffuser. Do you find that?
Oh, really? The diffuser sort of has a hard time.
I kind of feel like when I use my On Guard, like I sometimes will go to sleep, and the next day I get up and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like it's going to cover. Like I feel like it's sort of in there, and I have to really clean it off my diffuser. Like I don't know if they're more harsh on your diffuser, but obviously you're supposed to clean your diffuser out. So if you leave them in there, just be mindful, because I think the blend of On Guard in there is quite a strong blend, and I don't think it's very good to leave it in the diffuser, empty it and clean it out, or just give it a rinse.
Right, like it could be caustic or something. Yeah,
I don't know. I just find it with the citruses more than lavender, more than anything else. I just feel like they're sort of having more effect when I leave them in the diffuser, and you obviously want longevity in the life of your diffuser, so just rinse them out.
Fine. Thank you, Kate.
Useful. Thank you. Thanks. That's all really useful.
Great. Well, I'm aware that our time is up, so I just want to just make sure that there aren't any more questions or comments before we finish. And just to thank you all again for being here. Next week, thank you, Barbara. Next week we'll have a Vasa sharing. I'm not here next week, but so we'll have someone else leading the call. We'll just continue to be here every Sunday at the same time. And obviously I'll record these calls and send them to you, or send them to our group on Facebook. So lovely to see you all. Have a great week. Have a great boot camp, Kate. And we look forward to hearing about it afterwards. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.